The United States champion of The Voice, Sofronio Vasquez, is overjoyed at the prospect of starring in musicals, despite the fact that he was unable to commit to a probable engagement on the West End due to his packed performance schedule. The winner of the 26th season of The Voice United States, Sofronio Vasquez, will have a busy year in 2025, performing in concerts all over the world and even having a spot in the West End. On Tuesday, February 25, Vasquez inked a contract with ABC's Star Magic. He will be performing across North America, Australia, the United Arab Emirates, and other countries in the Philippines. Furthermore, he stated that he was offered the part of FY in the West End production of Miss Son in London, but he was unable to commit to the job at this time. "I need to work it out because my schedule is quite full." During the signing event that took place at the ABS-CBN property in Quezon City, Vasquez made the following statement in Filipino. "They gave me the role, and technically I'll be brought in to sing in London for 4 weeks. But if I'm unable to fulfill it, I'm just grateful for the chance. I would not be closing doors on musicals." He stated that after developing his skills with instructor and Canadian crooner Michael Bublé, Vast became the first Asian to win the popular television singing competition in December 2024. The Mindanao native had previously participated on Showtime's Tagging Tanjan segment, and signing his new contract in the same studio where he sung seemed like a full-circle event for him. From being a struggling musician to being recognized by millions of people, Vasquez's life story will be dramatized and shown on ABS-CBN, which has produced the drama anthology series Malala Mocha for over 3 decades. Additionally, Vasquez's life story will be broadcast on ABS-CBN, which has produced the drama anthology series Malala Mocha for over 3 decades. Star Magic will represent Vasquez in the competition. Philippines and the Asian region, in addition to making an effort to penetrate the market with the intention of following a similar course of action almost 10 years ago, Sabrina Carpenter was awarded a Grammy. In 2018, she worked with the Filipino rapper Shanti Dope on a rendition of the song Almost Love. This version was the opening track for Carpenter's 3rd studio album, which was titled Singular Act. I had a conversation with Michael Bublé during the Voices competition, and he mentioned that he wanted to bring attention to the fact that I am an Asian and a Filipino. If I were to win, I believe that we would use that aspect of leverage to pursue music, as he said. The Sofronio Vasquez had always been fascinated by the enchantment of performing. Growing up in a tiny town, he would sneak away to the old community theater and witness local shows, captivated by the possibilities of human expression, the force of music, and the exhilarating intensity of the stage. As he perfected his craft, blending singing, acting, and dancing, he found himself on the verge of his most difficult challenge, yet a series of concerts, culminating in an audacious dream to play on London's renowned West End. As the lights darkened and the ovation echoed in his head, Sofronio prepared to go on an enthralling trip that would test his determination, inventiveness, and love of the arts to a family that placed a high emphasis on the arts and culture. Sofronio Vasquez was born in the suburbs of the United States. With limited access to formal instruction, he relied on internet seminars and community initiatives. He joined the Neighborhood Corps, a decision that altered the path of his life. He discovered camaraderie with other performers and instructors who would push and motivate him. His mother, a superb pianist, frequently hosted musical evenings, inviting friends and family to listen as she played classics. Sofronio would sit in awe, dreaming of the day when he would take center stage and be a part of such a magical universe. His father, a history teacher, instilled in him a love of narrative, reminding him that the best performances could elicit emotion and transport listeners to different eras and settings. As Sofronio's ambitions grew, so did his ambitions. With limited access to formal instruction, he relied on internet seminars and community initiatives. An endeavor that attracted him was spending his weekends training for school concerts. He was excited about this endeavor. After years of toiling away and devoting himself to his craft, Sofronio was finally cast in a regional musical production of Les Miserables. This was the moment that would propel him into the spotlight, which he had always craved. Each role he portrayed seemed like a piece of his identity, affecting his dreams and stimulating his creativity. However, after each night spent backstage, he felt more alive than he ever had before. The excitement of anticipation permeated the air, energizing the entire cast as they prepared for opening night. However, there were certain obstacles to overcome and intense self-doubt crept in. The rehearsals were exhausting, with each line of conversation and dance being meticulously planned through. When opening night arrived, the experience felt strange as he got onto the stage, the lights dimmed, and the audience embraced him warmly as he sang. He channeled the stories of all those who came before him, the legendary performers who graced the West End and other historic stages. He struggled with restless nights and worry until he found consolation in music, both during rehearsals and in the enormous acoustics of the theatre. This was his chance to shine, and he promised to give his all to the show. Now that he had the opportunity to shine, he promised to give his absolute best to the show. The excitement of acclaim, the standing ovation, it was intoxicating. And as the program came to a close, a representative from a large talent agency approached him, impressed by his performance. It was the big break, and he had been waiting for the opportunity to spread his wings and fly. The fact that he signed with the agency allowed him to advance his profession and open up new opportunities, which meant that Sofronio Vasquez's quest had only begun as he basked in the splendor of his newly acquired reputation. The firm promptly organized a series of concerts throughout the country to highlight his talents and introduce him to a larger audience. Sofronio had an incredible combination of excitement and worry as the concerts stretched his endurance and pushed him further into his trade preparations started in earnest. He would spend many hours in rehearsal studios, practicing arrangements, vocal exercises, and dance. He was motivated to give outstanding performances, incorporating dramatic storytelling with each note. He spent time considering the content he intended to offer, selecting songs that would strike a deep chord with his audience and captivate their hearts. He relied on a wide range of inspirations, including Broadway blockbusters and soulful ballads. Although it was a difficult balance between revealing his talent and retaining the emotional essence of each piece, he was able to test the limits of his vocal range and deliver something that was distinct at each concert, thanks to the variety of genres. As he prepared for the concerts, he recalled lessons from years of training. Sofronio gathered a group of talented musicians to establish a band that shared his vision. Together, they would delve into the subtleties of each song, producing harmonies that would better his performances. Sofronio's ambition was to create a band that would share his vision. As Sofronio stood backstage with his feet thumping on the floor, he felt a symphony of emotions surge through him. He was filled with a heady mix of excitement and nerves, but he reminded himself of the numerous hours of practice and the road that had led him here. When the curtain rose, a spotlight shone down on him. The companionship that developed throughout these meetings felt like a family. It was supportive and encouraging. They put their souls into the song, knowing that they were creating something amazing, and they were eager to share it with the world. The night of his debut show arrived, and the room was vibrating with anticipation. Friends and family crowded the aisles, and there was a hum of enthusiasm around him. As he came into the glow, the crowd went hushed in wonder, hanging on every word. Each song unfolded like a narrative told by an old friend. His heart spilled out onto the stage, and he asked the audience to accompany him on a trip of shared memories. Wonder lit up his path as he came into the glow. He noticed the audience's expressions, which were a mixture of pleasure, tears, and absolute delight. The music transcended language, joining people and stirring emotions. The connection was palpable as he sang. As a result of the fact that each song resonated around the auditorium like a loving embrace, Sofronio began to feel as though he belonged exactly where he was. As a result, his success rose with each concert that he performed. It was through the concerts that he was able to travel to cities that he had never before considered visiting, where he was able to engage with both his fans and other musicians. The support and appreciation he received from his audience served as a source of motivation for him, propelling him to explore new levels of resourcefulness. His narrative, which is a testimony to determination, has served as an inspiration to aspiring singers all over the world as the series of performances that were held in the business came to an end. Media outlets started to take notice of him, and interviews followed. Again and again, the whispers became louder and quieter. Promises of possibilities on the West End stage, the beating heart of musical theatre. While Sofronio loved the popularity of his shows, the prospect of performing in London filled him with a sense of urgency. He felt as if he was about to realize a long-held dream. One night after a performance, Sofronio retired to his hotel room to reflect on his adventure. He unrolled a lengthy piece of paper covered in handwritten notes, lyrics, and ideas for new tunes. As he glanced over the pages, echoes of inspiration began to emerge within him. What if he had a part in the West End waiting for him? What if he had developed a one-of-a-kind work that was filled with his heritage and his background? He started collaborating with authors and musicians to create a performance that represented his journey and served as a link between his past and his future. The idea of combining cultures and musical influences grew, and he quickly found himself completely immersed in the composition process. Characters came to life, stories were intertwined with pieces of his own background, and the richness of his experiences formed a fascinating tapestry. Sofronio had to go through the difficult Western audition process. In order to advance as he prepared for the auditions, he resorted to his roots, remembering the little child in the audience who looked on in admiration. He found solace and inspiration in his lowly beginnings. This was his chance to share his voice and opinion with the world. Weeks of rehearsals culminated in a day that would alter his future. As he waited, his anxiety tightened in his stomach, and he took a deep breath. He recalled the excitement that had driven him to embark on this journey. The audition room was filled with talented performers. All of them were eager for the chance to impress casting directors. The knowledge that every single person in the room had a story brought a sense of peace.